So today's guided meditation is inspired by the poem called The Great Way. We just put out a little video of this poem, and today's meditation is going to be exploring what's conveyed in that poem. The poem is by a person named Jansi Sankan. Is considered to be the third incarnation of the Buddha in the Chan tradition. So there's Gautama Buddha, Bodhidharma, and then Jansi Sankan. So as with all of these guided meditations that we do, I'm not giving you any instructions or telling you how to meditate, but I'm simply pointing to the truth directly of who and what you are. So hopefully I'm not adding anything to your mind with my words or by speaking, but I'm inviting you to directly experience who you are in this moment without the mediation or the filtering of the mind, without the past. So the first part of the meditation will be using words, pointing, and as we go deeper into the meditation, we'll move into presence and stillness. There'll be less speaking and just being together. So this poem, which I'm referencing, called The Great Way, begins by saying, "The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences." So what does it mean to have no preferences? Another way to ask this is, what does it mean to have a beginner's mind? What does it mean to be here in this moment, now, unmediated by past conditioning? Because our preferences come from past experience. If we prefer one thing or another, most of these preferences are unconscious. The most important thing is not to look for an answer with the conditioned mind. The conditioned mind can't comprehend it because the conditioned mind is made of preferences. A beginner's mind sees everything anew in the moment. So the mind may ask, how do we drop preferences? This is the paradox to the mind. If we make an effort to drop preferences, that very effort is born of a preference. If we prefer to have no preferences, then we're entangled in this paradox. There's no way. There's no way out on the level of the mind. So we don't look for an answer with the conditioned mind. So who sees the preferences of the conditioned mind? Who or what is aware of the mind? Just notice if there are any preferences that are present in this moment. Is the mind wanting something to be other than what it is? Is there some expectation or wanting, some seeking? What is it that the mind is seeking? What is it that the mind is searching for or trying to gain from meditation or self-inquiry? The poem says, "Do not search for the truth. Do not search for the truth. Only cease to cherish opinions." Don't use the mind to find the truth of who we are. The mind is not the tool. The mind will always fail to realize samadhi or to awaken. The conditioned mind never awakens, but you awaken from identification with that mind, from that character that you've been playing. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear. When good and bad, right and wrong, These distinctions are dropped. These distinctions are based on our past experience. When we drop the analysis of this moment, when we drop the evaluation of this moment based on our past experience, then what remains? Then there is only a direct experience of what is arising. Who is aware of what is arising in this moment? Is that witness of what is arising? Is it actually something separate from what is arising? Or is that awareness inherent within what is arising? Is it already present? There's no need to find it or cultivate it. It simply recognizes itself in all things. To set what you like against what you dislike is the disease of the mind. So the entire path, the entire way, the great way is simply to be okay with what is, to be equanimous with what is. Is it possible to simply be in this moment without analyzing, without comparing, without judging, without moving the mind at all. As soon as the mind moves, there is unsatisfactoriness, dukkha. As soon as the mind moves, even the slightest movement, searching for this and that, then heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. The conditioned mind can't comprehend this. The conditioned mind has to remain a don't know mind. A mind that is wide open, alive, responsive. The mind is doing its job. It's like a mirror, taking everything in. Not filtering, not evaluating. That evaluating is a narrowing through language, naming, through concepts. You let go of all concepts. What remains is only direct experience of what is arising. When we allow the mind to be a beginner's mind, then all self-centered striving ceases. All seeking ceases, all trying to attain in the future ceases. The mind is not doing something that could be called meditation or self-inquiry. The mind can be given a break. The mind can relax. Just relax into openness. There's nothing for the mind to do. That which you seek is already present. Any movement of the mind is creating a screen, a filter. Just to recognize the awareness that is ever present, that is inherent within every moment. That is inherent within the arising and passing away of all phenomena. Who is aware of that phenomena? Who or what is aware? There is an invitation to directly experience who you are. Don't move the mind. The conditioned mind can't make it happen or comprehend the truth. The truth can only be experienced directly. So let the mind fully relax. Relax its need to control, its need to know. And just be with what is. Be with the aliveness of this moment. There's nothing that needs to be done to be with the aliveness. It's already happening. Just allow everything to be as it is. Just noticing the mind's tendency to move. And just notice. Just remain aware. Be as you are, as that awareness. Just allowing whatever phenomena is unfolding to be as it is, not getting involved, not pushing away, not getting caught in. Just intend to directly experience who you are. Allow whatever unfolds to unfold. Just have a complete experience of whatever phenomena is arising without judging or analyzing. when the mind is no longer seeking and searching, you may notice movement of energy or a free flow of sensations. Just allow the energy to circulate freely. Having no attachment to whether it is or not, no preference. Even if that energy is blissful, notice the mind's preference. Notice if there's any clinging or desire, holding. Notice if this moment is clear, vivid, lucid, who are you? in this moment. Who is present? Who is aware of the mind and senses? Directly experience that one. For the last few minutes of the meditation, I invite you, if your eyes are closed, to just open them maybe halfway. Just allowing the senses to be engaged, open. Just taking in the presence of the other beings that are here on this call. Noticing the awareness that is inherent within everything that is arising in this moment. Even within the witness and what is witnessed, there's one awareness or consciousness, one taste, letting go even of that distinction of the witness. That witness is the last holdout of the conditioned mind, of the ego. Even letting go of witness and witnessed. Allowing the senses to be wide open. There's no ending bell for this meditation because there doesn't have to be an end to this meditation. This awareness is ever present. It doesn't have to be a separation between formal practice and day-to-day life. We're going to move on to the connecting part of this guided meditation. So for those who are new or haven't been here before, this is an opportunity to connect and share, to talk about anything that's coming up on the path, any hindrances or challenges. So we have on Zoom this feature where you can, it's a raise hand feature, or you can simply unmute yourself. I'm not sure actually if we have that capability, so maybe the raise hand feature will be good. Yeah, I see Lori. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Dan.
Good to see you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you for that. I've watched the video several times, and yeah, it's thank you for that. It's wonderful. It you know I find it really transports me to I don't know I don't know where.
Maybe here.
Maybe. Um, I sort of have two questions that it raises. I mean, always are there. One is the love and hate, um, when love or hate are present, earth and heaven are set apart. So, my practice of equanimity is generally to love everything, right? Because I mean, you don't want to be indifferent. That's not equanimity, right? So,
Mhm.
so, and I find that when I bring love to whatever's going on, especially the unwanted, that actually allows me to drop the resistance and to let it in. So this idea of so to me, it doesn't mean don't love. It means love everything equally, right? And don't prefer one over the other.
Mhm.
So I just, but as a practice, I'm actively preferring love to aversion, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
it's a love is a tricky word, especially in our English language. It's I to me, like what we usually speak of as love is usually it's some form of attachment or clinging. There is, in the common day-to-day usage of the word love, there's usually some preference. It's whether it's I love my dog or my ice cream or another person. There's a love that has a sort of opposite. I'd love as opposed to hate this person, and so so when we drop the preference, we allow everything to be as it is. To me, that is what I would refer to as divine love. So that's something different. So the love that has an opposite, love and hate, or good and bad, this is all wrapped up in the ego. It's not really true love. True love is to be, I love, I think Ken Wilber talks about, actual love is to be one with, or to recognize, the oneness, the inherent oneness with something, to literally see oneself within the other. That is true love. And that's when we drop this ego, then we're actually in the perfect relationship, which is not a relationship. There's no thing being related to. It's actually the absence of relationship, to be in direct union with that love. So I think, that right off the bat, in the poem, that can be something that blocks people when they see when love and hate are both absent. It's like, no, I'm not giving up love. But it's that dualistic love hate, that is being referenced. So
Well,
yeah.
I mean, the question for me is, how does one practice this? Because I can't just go from my current state of preference and aversion and attachment to, none. So like, to me, it's like, what are the easy things to do? Like I don't see ever getting to a point where I don't prefer life to death, where I don't prefer comfort to discomfort, you know.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, so for me, it's like, how can I just see when there's preference, see when there's, in particular, see when there's grasping or aversion, and then drop that resistance to whatever's going on.
Mhm. Yeah, like for me, there's a very, like, important distinction, I think, that needs to be made, where, the I think the challenge is the sense of I, is when I say I, am I referring to this Dan character, which, of course, the Dan character, has its own, its favorite tea, or it has its, it likes chocolate, it likes all, certain foods. It's a pattern of navigating the world in a certain way. So that doesn't change. When we're in a formal practice, the formal practice is to not react, or not to somehow unhook from those preferences. But yeah, we go back into day-to-day life. Of course, we're going to choose, like the self structure will choose what it's going to choose. But the important distinction is the sense of I entangled with that character, and if it is, then if I don't get those preferences, then do I suffer? So we can allow, that it's, I think, at one point in the poem, it's, the allowing the mind to be exactly as it is identical with enlightenment. So we allow all of that, but it's just that the sense of I doesn't have to be entangled with it. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
helpful. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, yeah. Good to see you, Lori. Yeah, I'll go to Jeno. Hi there.
Hey, Dan. I just wanted to ask about the meditation. When you said there's nothing to do for the mind, and suddenly I dropped everything, but I start drifting away to sleep.
Mhm.
Like, because there was nothing to do. Like, but my awareness was, I was watching, as not watching, but I was aware of it.
Mhm.
And as I was drifting, as kind of drifting, and then I came back. So what happens when I completely fall asleep? Where does the awareness it's got to be there still, but somewhere else, or it's not aware of the body, or I don't know what happened, because it's a big difference when you're awake, when in a sleep. So when the body's asleep, you left the body, or
Yeah,
I don't know
so
how to.
that's a very important question, actually, in the meditation world. You know, so the more we you know, if we really go into inquiry, you know, in a, like, say, a retreat situation, you know, doing long periods of practice, what can happen is that awareness, you know, as the mind drops off, like sometimes, you know, at night after a meditation retreat, after a day of practice, sometimes we can be aware, resting as awareness, and the mind can actually completely drop off. Um, and actually, my favorite meditation teacher, Dogen, his definition of meditation is, you know, meditation is the dropping off of mind and body, which is exactly what happens in deep sleep. So
Sounds like this.
so the
Sorry.
so the difference is, you know, so in deep sleep, there's this sense that I disappear. But the highest samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, is when, you know, the mind and body drop off, but that primordial awareness remains. And it's a very difficult thing to speak of, because there's no phenomena, yet there's somehow this sense that I haven't gone anywhere. There's this sense of continuity or unbrokenness of that primordial awareness, and there's no way to make this happen. You know, like there's no you know, to me it's simply a byproduct of doing a lot of meditation and self-inquiry. That this you know, in Vedanta they call it turiya, where you know, it's the fourth state, or the you know, the ground of being sort of wakes up to itself, and it's ever present. It's recognized as ever present in waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. So this is really the key of, you know, it's the Nirvikalpa Samadhi is considered to be the most important samadhi, the most important sort of thing that can unfold on the path, because it's clear when the mind and body are completely dropped off, that which remains is the true self. It's the eternal. There's no phenomena. There's nothing in the world of form, yet that which remains is ever present. So that's why it's considered to be so important.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I am. Yes. So that's what is the game changer in everyday life as well, because once you are aware like this, and kind of, you know, you are not the body and not the mind,
Yeah.
and you are in. So from the viewpoint is from that, from the awareness, really. So no matter what we do, like I don't know how to say it. It's
Yeah, I think there's a simultaneous, you know, when that awareness is awake to itself, then there's a sense, a clear sense of the character as well. You know, that we've been playing
yes.
this character. So the, you know, when that awareness is awake, then there's a clarity around the patterns that are in play as well. So we're not, you know, the sense of I is not entangled in that
Yes,
pattern.
yes, yes.
We,
That's
we
exactly what it is. Yes.
yeah, so we see the self structure as
Mm.
just a character, or, something that we've been playing rather than me.
Okay.
Ah.
And okay, so and then things happens in everyday life, like challenges, and 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 when I'm getting into mind stuff, like I have to use my mind in everyday world, and like for example, I'm getting upset on something, and I have that awareness is still there, but if I can choose if I go into it more or I back out and I establish myself in the present, because I know everything what happens to me. It's basically it's play of the character, because the awareness is constant and infinite in me, which comes from the Father, from the source. And as Gino, I'm just playing here with this character. But if sometimes if I get tangled up with my thoughts, for example, like at work, I do genuinely get upset. But there's a point. I'm still there as awareness. I'm still not watching, but I can see the thing happening from a different perspective, kind of. And because of this, and I practice the sitting down and stillness, it takes less and less time to get back to the stillness. Instead, get swept away by my thoughts and feelings and mind stuff. So it definitely helps me to sit down every day and probably the seeking, because I started seeking why there is suffering for me, because I grew up in a really tough family, and that's what triggered me to look for. It's got to be a better way, and there is. If and yeah, genuinely, if I stick to that awareness every time and I have the pointings in me what to do, it's the way to live, I think, with no suffering and pain. It's way easier to navigate in life. That's what I find these days, and I'm doing it for quite a while now, and I can see the fruit of it, so to speak.
Yeah,
Because that's the main thing. The fruit is its peacefulness, harmonious, and happiness, and that's what all of us looking for. Otherwise, if would be otherwise, there'll be still suffering and pain, and I would, yeah. So so it is the ever-present awareness in us that is it's kind of the island, is the not shall I say, not getting away, but to know every time who am I and where I'm standing and looking towards this wonderful world created for us. Yeah. So I think
beautiful.
that's
yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's it. And the self structure, when we are aware, we wake up to that awareness, the self structure is still going through its karma. Whatever needs to be purified within the self structure, like life will give us the challenges, like it'll give,
yes.
And so like you described, like identification can happen, still once we still recognize that awareness, but yet we can allow, the character to go through whatever it needs to go through. So a natural, a natural experience in that character might be getting mad. It might be, if someone dies, a natural human experience is to be sad. These things naturally arise within the self structure, but the difference is when the sense of I is not attached to that character. It's the sense of I is the awareness. Then that that sadness or that anger isn't going to grow roots and get and we become entangled. Our sense of I isn't entangled, so we can allow the character to have the full range of human expression, and that full range of experience is encompassed by the awareness. So if we're like this poem that we were exploring today, it's not about having preferences of only the good experiences, and then I never experience anger or hate or all of these things. That's part of the development process of the conditioned character. So yeah, that's it. So
and this is it was way easier because I was a very heavy drinker. It was not easy, but it took me a while to actually give up drinking, because I saw the thoughts pattern, the clinging to the habit of having drinks with my friends after work. So all these and as you said, and your pointing is just in the present moment, to cling to the sense of I, which is always present and unlimited and everlasting, and just watch there, and slowly these thoughts completely left me. So after about a month, I still had, Friday came, straight with the thoughts rise about alcohol, and then after about a month or so, they completely vanished. So every now and then they still come, but I just don't give them any power, so to speak, so I can see how it works with any addiction and integrated into every human being to do this, because it's absolutely worth to. It's a game changer, life changer. It's basically this how we're supposed to live life.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you from my experience, it is 100%. It's working. So
wonderful. Yeah, that's a good report.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. For addiction, it really is the way through all addiction. And I had a past that involved alcohol as well, and there was a point where just having a complete experience, a fully conscious experience of that, bringing alcohol into the body, what it's doing, it felt, it was actually, for me, it was after a Vipassana 10-day retreat, and feeling, like alcohol is basically like a mild poison in the body. And so when all of the senses are really acute, we feel exactly what's happening. We feel the dulling of consciousness. Just having that complete experience of it, fully, is enough to, it doesn't. We feel what it's doing. We feel the truth of it, and the sort of dulling of the avatar, as an interface. And so for me, the ultimate way to break any addiction is to have a fully conscious experience of what it's doing in the body. And
as you said, after a while, even one beer, as you said, I saw the difference in my focus, my attention changed, everything just after one beer. It was, and now we a lot change in our family in better way, and we try to give this to our kids. Because I can see them, they're growing up. They have two lovely, beautiful, two beautiful girls. And I can see in them, they're very selfish and unconscious. They try to teach them how to love each other. And I think hopefully as they grow, they will understand why it's important to love and to be conscious. Is what's the present moment. They still don't have this self-awareness yet. They but we'll get there. We just keep going at it. So thank you very much for.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll go to John. Hi, John.
Hi, how are you, Dan?
Good. How are you?
Good. I was missing these monthly, going 2 months is too long the time for this to happen, but I really loved it today. The a couple of things. I was actually had one thing that I was going to talk about, but after listening to both Lori and jo, um, Jonah,
Jeno. Yeah.
Jenna, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I couldn't read. I'm reading my own. I and also watching your gift from you and Lara, Laya. The gate is just beautiful. I've read it a number of times, and it's very deep, but at the same time, it's not, which is an interesting part of this, because we got to the point of discussion here about the no mind, or effectively the beginner's mind. And it's interesting. We're talking with a lot of people here together from all over the globe that meditate and have a practice of meditation. And in one way, it's like saying drop what you learned and become a beginner again. And use the beginner mind, because when you go to the beginner mind, everything disappears, and you're finding your way by your eyes are closed because you can't see, but you're feeling the way through, and just allow it to unfold, and the beginner becomes an expert all of a sudden. And I found that with Jenna, the issue of where we are in the meditation is important. It is releasing all of those thoughts and become the beginner again. And each time you're a beginner, you become an expert, because you learn something new. You might revisit some of the old things, but they're being revisited. They're not new. Yeah. And having that beginner mind really is important. Today was interesting for me because as many of you may know, that I have Parkinson's, so I have a time kind of putting together the mind and the body, because they don't want to operate together anyways. So I have to I have to get rid of them to get out of my mind and get into my higher self, so I can touch what needs to be touched. And like today, I couldn't. All of a sudden, I knew I was getting restless, and I wasn't going to be able to, about 2/3 of the way through. And I was hoping I could last till the beginning. In the end, I said, well, I just disappeared. And I said, instead of sitting down, I stood up and realized that that made a complete change in how I was approaching the meditation. And what occurred was I emptied my mind, and I stood there. And you have to understand, from somebody with Parkinson's, you have no balance for different things. Your tipping points becomes very close, and all of a sudden you can tip over, go left or right, or go backwards or forwards. But I closed my eyes and I stood with my feet in the ground, and all of a sudden I started weaving back and forth and bouncing, and my eyes were closed, but my feet were rooted to the earth. And what was interesting about it is that I was having fun. I was actually above it, watching it and experiencing this body that shouldn't be able to do that, because it's a whole balance issue. But I was weaving around, and it was like I was the bamboo forest, just watching the wind blow through the bamboo forest, and watching them just move around. And wherever the wind came, it would change the oscillation, and it would move different things going on. And I found myself just drifting into this wonderful world in a no mind, beginner mind, and just enjoying the new experience. because I never experienced it before.
Beautiful.
It took everything and just dispelled it. Just went away.
That's a wonderful description of beginner's mind. That's exactly it. You know, if we were looking for something or we're trying to do something in our meditation, we would never come to that kind of experience. You know, to become like bamboo. You know, to like it's you know the creative possibility for each moment is so unfathomable, and we would drop the mind. You know, to me.
And what's interesting about it is close your eyes and do it in darkness, because when you do it in darkness, there's nothing there other than you, this body, the mind, which is watching it go on, and then really the higher self that's actually experiencing it. You can divide them into three parts almost. And then you can watch from a higher perspective the forest moving.
Yeah, that trinity is I think inherent to all the great traditions. You know, there's the that primordial awareness that is not a thing, and then there's this this sort of logos or higher mind, and then there's our human experience as well, and it's like somehow they're all the same thing as well.
It's interesting, Dan, that you just remind me of a question I had a long time ago, which is, does the ego and the mind evolve? I may change this body, but what's behind it I know is my true nature and my divine nature, my divine being. But I may change this avatar. Does my ego or mind evolve?
Yeah, it's a very, very profound question. What comes up for me is Sri Aurobindo talked about, the evolution of matter into spirit, and the involution of spirit into matter. And it's like to me it's like a torus. It's like, or like a yin yang, where it's like this dance that's happening, and it's so it depends where you are in that dance, whether the movement is towards spirit or the spirit is moving towards that sort of material incarnation. And it's an interesting question when you see it from that perspective.
Right.
What is evolution, right? It's just this dance back and forth from spirit into form.
And what are you embodying? What are you evolving, and what are you embodying?
Yeah, because there's from the conditioned mind's perspective, if we say there's evolution, then there's a there's a judgment there of what is more evolved, right? It's like something is more something, and so there's there's an inherent sort of evaluation going on in that. So yeah, it's a very interesting question when we go into that. I think it becomes more mysterious the more we directly experience, what that is. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for all of your work. I don't know how you do what you do, because you have such capacity. It's just beautiful.
Thank you, John. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I'll go to Alyssa.
Hi, Dan.
Hello.
Nice. Hello. I'm sorry, I can't move my camera. I'm somewhere else. Anyway.
It's okay. You're a little bit quiet. Can you move a little closer to your microphone?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
That's pretty good. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for the meditation. As always, I enjoyed it very much. I think that what I got to say today, Dan, is not really much of a question. I would like to know your opinion, or your perspective, but mainly I wanted to share something that is happening to me at the moment in my life. And it actually is a little bit related to what you just was talking about. And well, when I started this path, I always sort of felt that, the importance of discovering my real essence and so on and so forth. And then as well coming to the total conclusion that my mind, it was limited to understand so many things. So there was no point of continue inquiring and asking and this and this and that, because of my limited mind, human mind. But it happened something to me that actually opened doors for something that I was not really expecting. Well, I have never expected actually, and is that for a reason that I don't want to get into that because it's not so relevant. I was reading about channeling,
Channeling? Yeah.
channeling,
Yes.
connected with the akasha,
Yeah.
connected with universal knowledge, and I actually wanted to give it a try because I had never incurred in this sort of path, and I actually started to discover something that I was not aware of, because when I started to do some channeling and trying to get some information, people who have died actually started to appear to me and started to talk to me. And as you know, I think that perhaps in the past I have said to you, I always question everything because I wonder when my mind is playing, is interfering, and is actually maybe making me think something that they are not real. So I actually went deep into that, and I had quite a few experience on that, and I continue having this, and I actually could communicate with my brother. My brother died about 2 years ago, and actually I communicate with him. I could actually talk to him. I could actually saw him, and he actually sent a message to his daughter. And I was a little bit, gosh, what is real, what it is not real. It is real that I really am talking to somebody, the energy is appearing to me into my electromagnetic field, how I'm tapping into all this. And then I was sort of still having some doubts. And even for me, it was very difficult to deliver the message because it took me some time to think, well, this is real. This is not real. I was in a very, I don't know how to explain this, Dan, because I think that I am experiencing a type of, so that you know, of transformation within myself. Anyway, so what I did is I started to read. And I started to go into something that perhaps we talked some time ago, the difference between the spirituality and the science, yeah, and how these two forces are actually coming together. And I started to read lots of things about that. I started to read things that I have not really read before about science, about what science says about the origin of the universe, exploring about what is the purpose of life, of my life, what is the difference between, for instance, we talk about the spirit and we talk about soul. Are they the same thing? So lots of things started to come up, and I started to read and read not only from the science perspective, what the scientists have to say, but as well from what people who have, for instance, afterlife experiences and people who have near-death experiences and all this sort of stuff, as well what they have to say. And anyway, so I have come up with lots of information then, lots of information that I don't know what is taking me. I don't know where I'm going. But somehow I feel that something is guiding me into all this sort of stuff. I don't know where. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this. But suddenly I got into this, and I'm very much into that. And it has taken me a little bit away from my daily meditations and all this sort of stuff. Because my
Oh, I think I've kind of lost you. Oh, I think you're back. Okay, sorry.
Sorry. And so what I was saying is that because somehow I don't know, I couldn't actually get it straight into the Zoom, and I have to go through the all the way. Anyway, maybe that's what is affected volume. Anyway, so what I was saying is that I got all this sort of knowledge that I said I don't know where it's taking me. I don't know where I'm going, but somehow I feel that something is guiding me to something. I don't know to where. I don't know to what. But and what I'm saying is that it's taking me a little bit away from my daily meditation, because I just can feel that my mind at the moment is with so much knowledge that it doesn't know what to do with it. And then as well, I have experienced I have had this experience of being able to connect with people who are already dead. I didn't know that I could, and then I could actually sort of, and I actually, because I am always so aware that my mind could play on me. So I actually read the electromagnetic, or I tap into the electromagnetic camp of people in order for me to actually check this is real or this is not real. And they asked some questions, and I got into that, and I got the answers to these questions, and they actually confirmed everything. So I started to believe, okay, so it's not just my mind playing with me. But anyway, so I wanted to share these sort of things with you, Danny, because this is completely new to me. I am absolutely, my mind is completely blown with all these sort of things that happen. I wanted to know what you think of that.
Yeah. So I'll just clarify what I feel you're sort of asking. So you're experiencing this phenomena, such as experiencing being able to speak with people who've passed, or so there's a sort of coming to the sense that this is actually happening, that it seems real to you. It seems like a real phenomena. It's not just a figment of the mind, but it feels like something that is there's an intelligence or something guiding you through this process. Is that right?
Yes, correct. That's
Yeah.
correct. That's correct. And then for instance, yes, and I started to read about all the dimensions now, our dimension, because I started to wonder why all these people they are talking to me, what sort of dimension they are. They must be somewhere in a sort of different frequency, I suppose. So I've been starting to investigate all this sort of stuff. Sorry, I interrupt you.
Yeah. So like for me, there, everything in the universe is this one mind. There's many levels. Most of humanity is existing, on these two levels of mind. It's the mental and physical planes. But as the avatar evolves on the path, it's like our antenna gets stronger, and we can sometimes tap into these different levels of mind. And there's to me an infinite number of levels of mind, infinite possibilities for our experience. So the conditioned mind, sometimes will ask, is this real? Is this not real? But I think you know, that distinction, it's just like in the Great Way poem, you know, as soon as you distinguish one or another, you know, good or bad, real or unreal, you know, that's an evaluation of the mind that I think is ultimately just false. I think it's part of duality. We create these distinctions between real and unreal. But the deeper I go on the path, you know, the more almost sort of dreamlike, you know, this world becomes. It's like there's more possibilities for experience, and you know, and the dream world can become more rich, more seemingly real, you know, so that the two are sort of converging at a certain point, and it's all just this play in the one mind. And so to me, the matrix, you know, is that one mind. It's this play, and we become, you know, entangled with it. If we're identified or attached to any phenomena arising within the one mind, then we suffer, you know. And but if we see it as just this play of form, then it's there for us to experience. We can have complete experiences of any level, any phenomena that's arising. So the question always is, you know, who is the one aware? Who is experiencing all of this play of form? You know, what is that awareness that is ever present within that play of experience?
Well, I think that it is something that I have always believed, and then and now I think that I've been more convinced of that we are energy, and I think that who is being aware of all this is this is my, I don't know how can I call it, perhaps is my inner divinity, or I don't know, I take it in from that way, because I do feel that really we are part of this oneness, and then I think that who at the moment is seeing all this. I don't think it's my human consciousness. I don't think so. Mm-hmm. I think it's something a little bit higher than that. Mm-hmm. And why it could be higher than my human consciousness, I think is my universal consciousness, that divinity. I think that it is.
Yeah. So that whatever that awareness is, you know, the path, you know, what this sort of awakening is about is directly experiencing that truth of who we are, you know, without the need to evaluate, you know, without the need to put it into words, you know, without the need to say, you know, this is good or bad, this is real, unreal. So it sounds like there's an aliveness to whatever it is you're experiencing on your path. You know, you said something like, you know, it feels like there's an intelligence or something guiding, and you know, so it sounds like you're trusting that more and more, and that's amazing. You know, to me, that is part of the path, to allow this energy to unfold within the self structure. You know, energy likes to explore, so you're exploring these different dimensions of yourself, or of the self structure of the conditioned self. So you know, that's great. You're allowing that energy to unfold. And as you do that, it doesn't have to be separate from self-inquiry or meditation. You can, within that, inquire who, directly who is aware of all of these experiences, and that intention to directly experience that one is the path to awakening.
Oh, is aware. Yeah, this is the most important question, really. Yeah, because the fact that we can actually go and go deep into certain things and get information here and get information there. So, and I don't want to get, as you said it very badly some minutes ago, that I start to get attached to, okay, this is real and this is not real, or this is okay or this is not okay, or this is true or this is not true. I don't want to get into that, because always I have kept myself, I've been trying in my path to keep my path relatively clear of all these, oh, I can do this, oh, I can communicate with disabilities,
Yeah.
this, and immediately the ego start to jump, to say,
Yeah.
oh, yes, you can do this and you can do that, and I have to be very aware of that.
Yeah.
Very aware of that, and
Yeah.
that's where I have so many doubts. But anyway, so I don't know what is all this sort of thing is taking me down, but I just wanted to share it with you, because to be honest, I am very confused at the moment.
Yeah, and that's okay. The beginner's mind, that we're speaking of, and the beginner's mind is a confused mind. The conditioned mind. The more the mind really tries to know and to sort it out and to have a map of what's happening, the more removed we are from the aliveness of the experience. So if we can just allow the mind to be a don't know mind, then we come into greater connection with what's actually unfolding. So, whatever is unfolding, it sounds like it's very alive for you. It's something is unfolding for you on your path. So I would say just, have a complete experience, and just allow the mind to not know. Just allow it to be confused and be okay with that. Because the truth is the mind can't know the greatest truths of our being, the conditioned mind. We can only have that direct experience.
Correct. Yeah. I have always been confused, but now I'm more confused than ever.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. Well, just enjoy. Just enjoy. When the mind is relieved of the burden of knowing, there's a great freedom. The mind doesn't have to know. The mind will never know. It will always fail in trying to attain the greatest truth. So when it finally gets that it can stop trying to know, and it's relieved of that burden, there's a lightness that comes and a freedom.
Yeah. And there is something that I just finally would like quickly to share, and is that in the past, I don't think that I have been very afraid of dying, but a little bit. I've been a little bit afraid of dying, but it is very, very, very weird how, with all this sort of thing that's happening to me, I have lost completely this fear of dying, and then I think that it's not that I want to die, or what I want to kill myself, and I'm not into that, but I welcome dying. Now I really welcome dying, and I think that when the day for me comes, I am really, really very welcome this moment, because I don't know, in all this process, this is one of the things that has come it has come up very clear, and is I have completely lost the fear of dying, because well, I don't know, I feel it in that way. I feel it in that way.
Yeah.
So I think that this has been a positive aspect at the moment. Yes, so far. Yeah, but the rest confusing as ever.
That's good. That fear and the knowingness of the mind, or the the hoping or projecting of the mind, they're wrapped up together. So as one sort of drops away, the other naturally drops away, because it's the fear and that control of the mind are really one and the same. So it's good if you. It sounds like you're moving in a good direction.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Well, thank you so much, Dan,
Thanks,
for
Alicia.
listening to me, and
Yeah.
thank you so much. Yeah,
Yeah, thank
namaste.
you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Go to Colin.
Hi, Dan. Hi, everybody. Great to be with you today. I'll try to make this quick. I see there's some people waiting here. So I was watching the part 3 of the Samadhi movie, and I was sort of struck by the pond analogy of allowing the mind to settle. And what I found was that after watching the movie, I had a different experience of meditation, which was that the mind would sort of calm like on a deeper and deeper level. Whereas before I saw it, it was like, I just thought if it was silent, that the meditation was on track and everything was great. And so it was like a realization of this very subtle tension that was residing in the mind that like could keep going away more and more. And this seemed to carry through the day like incredibly well also, that I would notice these little tensions and they would disappear. But there was also kind of like this in the meditation, like a very subtle doing, like almost like a reminding it to surrender, or sort of a like flash visualization of the pond, or something like that, that would pop in, that seemed to kind of to this. And I know we're not really supposed to like attach to sensations they're doing, but it did seem kind of like a gain. So should I be like becoming just more aware of who is watching the breath and who's watching the mind, and keep my awareness on kind of strictly on that, and forget my new little tricks? Or what's the guidance in this?
So yeah, so this is very subtle, so whatever, so this is a bit of a paradox. So whatever I say, if the mind hears it, it'll think, okay, this is what I do, I'll do this or do that. But there's actually a way to unhook that choosing, unhook that choosing of the mind. So there's still, the mind is still, it sounds like, directing attention here or there, and so there's like a choice, but there's, so my question is there a way to not choose? Is there a way to just simply be present without choosing, to be completely aware, choicelessly aware, without doing anything, and like you were describing, there's like the mind pond analogy, we just sort of let go, like any movement of the mind just stirs up more waves. So all we can do in that situation is just recognize when the mind is stirring up more waves. And it stirs up more waves when it chooses, when it chooses a direction or chooses to do this or that. So so I would say, like, stay with that mind pond analogy, because that's it, like there's a way to simply be. And the deeper we go with it, like doing longer retreats, we come to deeper and deeper levels of the mind that's already in motion. We find that the mind is just constantly moving and stirring up waves, and there's nothing to do about that other than see it. Just be aware that that's happening, and it becomes apparent as these deeper levels come to the surface. Then they just sort of naturally will drop. We don't have to do anything, to surrender, because anything we do to surrender isn't really surrender. It's just more mind. It's another level of mind control. So there's really nothing to do other than, I would say, like, just put ourselves in these conditions where maybe we're doing more meditation, going to deeper levels. Like a retreat scenario is perfect for that, where we can really excavate to the deeper levels of the mind, and there is this stilling that will naturally happen when we understand this paradox. There's literally nothing to do in the practice other than to be, and to allow this unfolding of mind to happen, this stilling to happen. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Go to Rasia. Hi, Rasia. Oh, I think you're not getting any audio. It looks like you're unmuted, but I don't hear anything. Is your microphone turned on? Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Maybe in your settings, sometimes it gets turned down. Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe I'll let you try and sort that out, and maybe I'll go on to Robin in the meantime.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Robin. Yeah.
Turn that stereo off.
Oh.
I'm having some challenges at the moment. Oh, my volume. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Mm-hmm.
Take that out. Sorry, I was sorting out sound here too. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Now it's working. This is my third time on here. Although I've heard a lot because my husband's on here regularly. I guess the last few months I'm having challenges where, in a way, I want to go backwards, and I don't know why I feel like that. And part of me doesn't care, like that I want to figure that out. I just kind of want to do nothing. I just want to stop. But the awareness, now that it's switched on, never leaves. It's almost like my mind has suddenly developed a split personality, and there's so many layers of mind, and I see them all. And I'm tired, like part of me is sad, part of me sometimes is angry, part of me sometimes is just really content to just be nothing, and that's really nice. I like that one. But I've just stopped wanting to listen to things. I've stopped wanting to try anything. I've always been quite good at letting things unfold naturally. I've been pulled towards things my whole life. And I've had like amazing experiences, but all of a sudden it's just like living in this world, being in this society, it's hard, and I'm tired of going against society. And sometimes I just think, how easy would it be to go backwards and just be mindless and not see everything the way it is. And I don't actually want that because that's just my mind. But all of a sudden, that particular mind has started chattering a lot. And yeah, I just don't know what to do with it. So for the last few months, I've done nothing. And I've just gone about life. You know, I have 2 kids, I homeschool them. I have my husband to look after. I have friends, you know, my close friends, they're not spiritually inclined, but I love them. They're awesome. You know, there's all sorts of variety of people around me, but I'm just, the world is so in your face. And I guess I'm feeling that it would, in a way, be easier to just give into it, but I don't want to give into it, but I'm also tired of not giving into it. And I don't know what to do with that. And I've just done nothing. You know, I started reading books endlessly, novels again after years of not reading, and that's really awesome, but it's just a distraction. I know that. You know, there's lots of things I love doing, and I'm just using it all at the moment as a distraction to avoid, I guess, dealing with where I'm at, because I don't actually see a problem, but I see a problem. There's like so many different layers of the mind now, and it used to be just the mind and awareness, but now there's all these different minds, and it's confusing but not. I don't actually know if I have a question. I guess my question, if I was to try and form it, is what do I do? Because the more and more I do nothing, the more and more I'm giving into the mind and letting it, I feel as if it's much more in the driving seat than it has been for a very long time, and I'm not enjoying that. But it's also, in a weird way, a relief to just give into it and let it drive for a while. But I see all of it at the same time. And it's not like I feel powerless. I do feel as if I have choices, but I'm just sick of making the choice to rise above my mind, which sounds really weird because I know there's lots of people that would crave that, is to have a choice not to react. But I feel, I don't get why I feel like I've gone backwards. But I know that I haven't gone backwards. But I also all of a sudden feel like I don't know anything too. Like, and I feel like everything is clouded, and language that I used to be able to listen to that was absolute clarity, all of a sudden it's just like gobbledygook. The words just bounce off me now, and they just don't even sink in, and it's just like I don't even want to hear, and I don't want to sit down, and I don't want to do anything. So I guess, what do I do when you're in a space like that? Do you keep doing nothing, feeling the pull more and more to just give in to society and the way society is, even though you know it's not the right way? Or do you buckle down and force yourself to get back on to sitting down, being still, meditating? Because there's a new level of my mind that's like throwing a tantrum saying, I don't want to do that anymore. And I don't know where that's come from. So
that's you're expressing that, you know, what you're expressing it very clearly, the condition that, to me, it's you know, this is sort of what I call like the, you know, it's the dark night of the soul, really, is, you know, realizing, you know, it's when you come to that place, you've had, you know, obviously a capacity to recognize awareness, you know, and you can see the mind, you know, doing this activity, the conditioned mind. So there's a knowing, it sounds like, you know, you know that peace and happiness is not found within the self structure, or, you know, all of its wantings, and within the matrix, right? So there's a sort of, you know, in the dark night, it's like a disillusionment sort of comes with the external world, where it's like the things that brought pleasure before, you know, they don't quite fulfill anymore
Mm.
because you know we know there's something deeper. There's something there, you know. It's like what's coming up for me is there's this beautiful quote by Saint Augustine. He says, our hearts will always be restless until they rest in the truth, or he says the Lord, because he's Christian, but and to me that's it. Like we're not, we'll never find peace, out there. We'll never find peace until we awaken to that which is eternal within us. And so you're at this place on the path where it seems like there's a split. There's this conditioned self made up of all these different parts, and then there's this awareness of that. And that's duality. You've summed up, the dualistic condition perfectly. That's it. So the next step is to awaken from that duality. Because as long as there's a witness and something being witnessed, as long as there's this separation between awareness and the mind, we're still in this dualistic condition. So the question is, how does that drop away? And
I was about to say, how do you awaken from duality then?
Yeah, and so the only way I know is to either well, there's a couple ways, but the one way is very difficult, which is to be extremely vigilant in life, to watch the mind, to continuously inquire into who we are. So it's possible to awaken within the midst of life through that continuous vigilance and inquiry, and practice. The
I
other
was worried you were going to say that.
and the other way is to put ourselves in conditions of no escape, where like a retreat situation where there are the correct conditions for awakening to happen. So we going into a continuous practice, where it's like your hair is on fire to awaken, and there's no, the paradox with that is there's no, the ego can't make it happen, so there's no goal of awakening in the normal sense of a goal. It's the stripping away of egoic activity to awaken or arise in the now. And certain traditions, certain retreats, if we put ourselves in those conditions, it makes that awakening much more likely to happen than in the midst of day-to-day life. So, so for me, there's the way out of that dark night is, allowing it. We allow it to be exactly as it is, but it's difficult, and we can sort of accelerate that process by putting ourselves in these conditions of doing deep practice. So life will life will be the teacher, or we can the path of sort of wisdom is to see how it works and put ourselves in those conditions to accelerate the process.
Dan, Dan,
I like
can
the
I
sound
add-
of the retreat. I just don't know if I could do that. But yeah.
Dan, can I add
you.
something?
You want?
Briefly?
Sure, go ahead, John.
It's one question is that we all, I guess, should ask ourselves in the path is, what does awaken mean to you? If you can find the core of what awaken means to you, I think you find your answer.
Yeah, and I think the meaning, is not obviously an intellectual meaning, but
Right.
we have there's a direct experience of awakening to true who we are. Like there's no meaning on the level of mind. There's an actual direct experience of that awakening to our true nature, which that to me it's the only thing that is going to bring peace in our lives. So the question is, how do we create conditions for awakening to be more likely to happen?
Do you mentioned certain types of retreats? I'm very blessed in the fact that my husband and I are traveling this journey together, and I have someone to have phenomenal conversations with and help with raising children in a world or a society that is teaching them one thing and we want to teach them something else. So I'm really blessed in that way. So I have the encouragement to stick with it when I have so many distractions as a mum and a friend and this, that, and the other thing, like we all do. If at all possible that I could make it work to do a retreat, I live in Australia. I mean, you actually mentioned the 10-day silent Vipassana retreat, which is actually one of the first things I did at 30 when I did a drastic change in my life. Is it a retreat like that? I could use one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And like those retreats for me were really my entry point into the path. At a certain point for me, my understanding of meditation has changed. So those retreats, they're doing a technique. So the mind, if you just do that Vipassana body scan, the mind, you'll never come to samadhi, because the mind will always be doing something. There's, so my understanding of meditation has been to eventually, it's beautiful as a technique to purify the samskaras, and it's an amazing technique. But at a certain point, if we want to realize our true nature, we have to let go of that controlling mind and that doing. So those retreats allow a beautiful, just space to meditate. Yeah, it's an amazing way to go deep. I don't know if there are Zen centers in Australia at all, but the Zen tradition, they have the Zen session, which is also a period of long, very, very deep, powerful practice. There's also the Charles Berner method of self-inquiry, like doing dyads as well. So that is a very fast way. If you want a direct path to awakening, they usually go by the name of enlightenment intensives, where you do these dyads from early morning till late at night. If you're drawn to that, it's a very fast accelerator for awakening. So yeah, I would say any of those, or at the Samadhi Center in Canada, and it's on the other side of the world. But
I'll let my husband know that, he'll see me. But thank you very much, because I feel it feels good, I think, to finally just say it out loud. To finally, I guess, face it, to actually do something with it now, because yeah, like I say, I've been sitting on this for months and just going through the motions. I recognize that I'm not going to be able, because I feel like it's more of a, like I need to shed something. And so I feel like I'm ready for that, but I just have to give myself that little push, because I feel like I'm stuck in whichever mind it is that's in the driving seat at the moment, is just very much the, I don't want to do anything now. And so I think I've indulged that enough.
Mhm.
And I'm sick of watching it as well. So
Mhm.
thank you for your advice and listening.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
John, because I will sit on that question as well for myself deeply. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Rasia, is your audio working now?
No.
Oh no, yeah.
No. No, it seems like, yeah, it's not coming through. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Yeah, but we can connect another time. Yeah. Okay. I'll go to Sandra. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Dan. Good to
Hello.
see you.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Gosh, it hasn't been that long since I was at the Samadhi Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I was burning for sharing because of some of the things that I've heard here today. And I think that I can really relate to probably everyone spoke with their with their progress as well as with their challenges with meditation, and the mind just being so busy and cunning and sneaky.
Yeah.
Um, one thing really comes to mind. I can't remember who you referenced that said that, if we are, seeking samadhi, that we should do so as if our hair is on fire.
That's
Well, my hair's been on fire.
awesome.
It's been crazy. It really just started out with kind of like a little bit of a roller coaster with, just feeling the challenges of being able to, I'm not my body, I'm not even my mind, and just be able to surrender to, deep meditative states. And for the most part, I'd have to say that I've had some pretty good success, and I'm grateful for any successes that I've had. Any gains. However, I have, during the times when there's the challenges, I've really searched and looked. I went to another retreat. This was a kind of like an empowerment retreat where there wasn't obviously any dyads, but definitely opportunities to be able to hang out in the in the space, which was really nice, and being able to like have some time alone to engage in meditation. And some of the things that I have found in my practice is that once I was able to just really quiet the mind and really give it no importance, just having an attitude of it's not important. Presence has been optimal, sometimes 4 days at a time.
Beautiful.
And then on occasion, I've experienced, well, this body has experienced some of the old samskaras dealing with regrets and depression, anxieties, and thoughts of the past and things like that. And I concluded that there definitely were areas where, the little Sandra was just not able to let go, just not able to let things rest, to let things, to just close the door on some things. So some of the things that I have found helpful just lately has been engaging in other types of, um, you know, microdosing and, engaging more recently, it was ayahuasca ceremonies. And I've got to say, I'm sure that it's maybe not the same for everyone, but I've got to say, if anyone can relate to some of the hangups that I've referenced, it's important to pay attention to the sufferings of this body and pay attention to the fact that the body has had this experience with the mind that has been boxed into these places in, you know, in our journey, that are just, I think for me, I had decided, you know, this is non-negotiable. I'm totally not going to forgive myself for such and such, you know. So but it can be very disturbing to the to personal growth. And so for me, I believe that some of these ceremonies have allowed these doors to open up, and even if it's just for the sake of being able to recognize them for what they are, address them, and then let them go, it's worked well, where I don't have those many of those little boxes, you know, hindering me from, you know, a deep meditation, you know, hindering presence, keeping the mind going and busy. And while I don't feel I'm in a position to make any recommendations regarding other chemical, well, natural ceremonies that where there's traditional medication utilized, it did work for me, and I don't know how that would benefit anyone else here. But yeah, so I just wanted to share that.
Yeah,
because
wonderful.
our lives are very convoluted and very busy, and when we get into this busy mind state, much of it is just habit, you know, and not believing the mind is my primordial thought is like, you know, no, quiet. And so that works, but definitely addressing some of the experiences that are legitimately experiences has had some value as well, just being able to put them away.
Yeah, that's amazing, Sandra. That's yeah, to me, like, you know, what you're speaking of is you know, the samskaras, or the, you know, the energetic knots that we, you know, carry within us, that are, you know, tied to past experiences. And yeah, these you know, plant medicines and entheogens, they can help to unlock these things. And you know, either through microdosing or through you know, full dosing experiences with it as well. Yeah, and to me, you know, those, you know, what we're doing in meditation is exactly what we do in those plant medicine ceremonies. It's just happening slower in meditation. But when we're ready to free those energies and become free of those robotic, you know, deep patterns, you know, those plant helpers can help to unlock that. There's an intelligence there. And it's a great reminder for people that is out there. And when you're ready to do that work, you know, to face whatever is in the unconscious, those things, I always say, you know, they're not a shortcut, but they're a catalyst for doing that deep inner work and the shadow work, you know, facing whatever is in the unconscious. And you know, also breath work is another amazing door.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to go in. So yeah, that's a great reminder for people that those tools are out there for doing that deep purification on the self structure.
Yes, because it's undeniable that our bodies could be very wounded. You know, that the experience of this life, you know, have constricted some of the spiritual potential that we have, because our breathing is held or shallow, or, you know, reacting to, you know, past traumas and things like that. So while I'm not my body, while I'm not my mind, I'm occupied. you know, and, you know, and to be, you know, to find that love and kindness and gentleness and forgiveness for our body, you know, to be able to ask for that and to address the things that our mind pushes away. And sometimes our mind brings it right to the surface, even if it's with the intention of disrupting, you know, the spiritual experience, you know, to disrupting, you know, the truth of who we are. And so I'd have to say that for me, I have found more and more peace and quiet in my mind, addressing, you know, some of these samskaras.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, to me, you know, the purification of those samskaras is really, you know, it's integral to the path. You know, we could have awakenings, but if we haven't dealt with what's in play within the self structure, then it's like there's a gravity or, you know, this inertia that pulls us back into identification. So it's you know, it can be you know, within the self structure, that is the part that takes time. You know, there's literally a rewiring process that takes time. Even though awakening is always now, and you know, awareness is ever present, the self structure is the time bound part of ourselves that we also have to work with, you know, because this is our interface with the world. And yeah, so that's awesome that you're doing that work, and you seem like you're in a good space.
I have been, yeah. It's been amazing, an amazing journey, you know, and it really feels that you know, that I'm part of this collective force of just being able to raise the waters and raise the resonance. Sometimes I feel like I'm the world, but even if it's just my surroundings, it's amazing, right? Because there's a you know, there's the spiritual growth is contagious, and it really just, you know, amplifies and encompasses all of my surroundings. And so I think that's great. Another thing I think is absolutely amazing is finding this subscription for ATW and the you know, just the YouTube subscription page for, you know, I think I had thought about it, and then I was like, I need to email ATW to let them know that they should do this, and then all of a sudden it was done.
Oh, awesome.
So, so, yes, so I think that's just great, you know, to just be able to have the opportunity to, you know, share these movies and reference back to them with, you know, I've been doing a lot of cross-referencing with many of the referents in many of the movies, you know, Carl Jung and Albert Camus, and, you know, just I'm engaged in so many readings, audio books as well, you know, whatever venues we can engage in the information. And while I know that there isn't like a requirement to be, I think for as far as like to remain equanimous, to remain, to find this balance, that it's been the readings and the, you know, the audio books have been helpful in assimilating, you know, many of the great sayings of many of the great yogis and philosophers. Really just allows us an opportunity to find this equanimity with other people, other sources, other sayings. Just reinforces the conviction of the decision of being present.
Yeah. These for me, these pointers are you know, they're helpful, especially at different times on the path. You know, surrounding ourselves with these pointers can just you know, it can just help to land in a way that yeah, just keeps us on track. And yeah, that's great that you found that membership thing. It's the next thing that's coming out on there is going to be Rupert Spira's video, which is really amazing. So he's, if of anybody doing those pointers, I think he's pretty bang on. So yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for everything, Dan. Thank you for your presence here today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for allowing the space. Thank you for, all of the, work that ATW does to just, increase the calibration of our understanding of who we are.
Thank you, Sandra.
I'm so grateful. So grateful.
Yeah. Yeah, and thanks everyone. So we'll be back here in one month. Yeah. Hi, Alex.
Just to let you know that there is a question pending on the chat area from Al 10. He's not able to ask it verbally for some reason. I don't know if you have the time, but just to let you know, okay?
Okay, let me just check it out here. Yeah, so I'll read it. My question is regarding paradox of not having any preference at the level of mind, but also having a preference to show up to this practice, to practice non-preference. Yeah, that's good. To elaborate, when I wake up and proceed towards meditation practice, I'm in my mind having a preference to do something which is opposite to what I'm going to practice. So how do I reconcile this? Yeah, so that's really cutting to the heart of the no preference thing. So yeah, so even having, if we want to have no preferences, if the great way, is having no preferences, isn't having no preferences just another preference, so there's a paradox here. And again, I think I've alluded to this before, but I think the real question is, to whom do those preferences belong? So if I say, I have no preference, what does I refer to? Is it the conditioned character, or is it the true I, the unlimited I, the awareness that is watching the mind and its preferences? So to whom do those preferences belong? So the self structure, the character, it is made up of preferences. It's all it is. It's a collection of patterns, of habit patterns. So it's going to do what it does. But my sense of I, when I awaken, is not identified with that character. So we allow everything to be as it is. That primordial awareness it's nothing but aware. It has no preferences of its own. So if my sense of I is that awareness, then I have no preferences, even though the world doesn't change. Nothing, so it's simply a flip. Nothing changes in the world. So even the practice is just a practice of, recognizing the truth, which is already as it is. The truth is I'm not that conditioned character. So by recognizing that, there's nothing that needs to happen. There's nothing that needs to unfold. Practice is not leading to something in the future. That recognition and that truth is just a recognition of what is actually the case. So it is, to the mind, it seems like a paradox, but upon awakening, there's no problem. The mind and senses can continue to do what they do, and it's my sense of I is not wrapped up in that. So yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Alex. And yeah, I'll see everyone next month, and there'll be more stuff coming out on the Awaken the World site soon. We're going to be launching. I'm not going to give it away completely, but we're going to be launching basically an online I Am retreat in December. At least that's the plan. We're trying to put everything together for that to happen. A 7-day intensive practice similar to what we do at the center here, but we're trying to do it in an online format. So that will be something that is kind of an experiment, and it'll be really interesting to see what the results of that are. So we'll be putting out more information about that soon.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so thanks everyone. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
You all.